Hey guys, welcome to today's vlog. For today's video, we're gonna be doing a Q&A. So I asked for questions on Instagram and I got a lot of really good ones. So I'm gonna answer as many as I can, and then if there's a lot more good ones, then potentially I'll do a part 2. Let me know if you want to see a part 2. I don't want to waste a lot of time right here in the beginning, so I'll just go ahead and jump in. Okay, so I got a lot of questions asking about what exactly my chronic illness is. I know there may be a lot of you new to my YouTube channel or new to my Instagram that haven't heard my story yet. So I really need to do just like an updated here's my story video that I can put on Instagram and YouTube just for people who are new that I can send them to, because sometimes I feel really redundant recapping it a lot, but it's okay. So my health condition is pretty complicated. You can diagnose a lot of things based on what I'm dealing with. What we know right now and what we're working with, what we really think the root of things are. Basically, I have chronic fatigue syndrome, but it's due mostly to chemical toxicity and then somewhat due to heavy metal toxicity as well. So we don't know a lot about how I accumulated all of these toxins, but we do know that our environment in general is really toxic. There's so many different chemicals and household products and makeup and cleaning stuff and water that contain toxic chemicals and neurotoxins that do affect our health. And one thing that I know about my genetics now is that I have multiple different genetic variations or different SNPs that inhibit my body from detoxifying as well as it should be. So it can feel like that I just all of a sudden got sick, but really I think it was a long process throughout my life, and then there was a big trigger that just kind of set things off and really just caused my body to shut down. So yeah, a lot of it was probably just environmental things that kind of gradually happened. There could have been some kind of big chemical exposure that we didn't know about. I also have moderately high levels of glyphosate, which is also really interesting. They're not extremely high, but they're high enough to know that they are probably contributing to things. So anyways, it took a long time to figure all that out, but I'm really grateful that we did. Right now we're working on treating all of that. I go back to see my functional practitioner tomorrow, so that will be interesting. We'll talk about some things and next steps. That's really the basics of it. It's been 2.5 years. I got sick right before my wedding day. One of the big triggers for me, which I want to talk about more because I've seen it affect a lot of people, and I really just want people to be educated and informed because I want people to be well. But birth control, I started it, you know, a month before I got married, and that was right when I got mono. That was right when I got really sick, and it was, I mean, it was like I got birth control and things went haywire. Multiple doctors I've worked with really think that has a big part in what kind of shut everything down for me. I know that birth control can shut down methylation even more for people, and because of like my MTHFR homozygous gene, I like wasn't methylating and detoxifying well, and that just like made things significantly worse. So I thought that might be worth mentioning. But yeah, I thought I would get that one out of the way because a lot of people are wondering. Someone else wanted to know, like, how did I know something was wrong? Okay, here's the thing. I think everyone knows innately when something's wrong, and way before I really got sick, I really felt like something was just off. And now I have a lot of theories of, or you know, lots of ideas of things I could change that could have really helped me back then. But I mean, I had mono like when I first really got sick, so I tested positive for it, so I definitely knew that I was sick. And then it just kind of continued and didn't go away, and then I didn't have mono anymore, but then I was still really sick and had all these symptoms. And yeah, I have like so many videos you can watch of me documenting my health journey if you want to know more. Okay, so this is a good question from Jen. What are you planning on doing once you finish school? Do you know yet? So, first of all, for those of you who are new, I am currently studying to become a nutritional therapy practitioner. It's a really awesome, pretty much all online program that I've been doing, and it's so cool how I really believe God's led me here. I really feel like some of the extremely difficult things I've walked through and I'm continuing to walk through, honestly, they've led me to start working towards being able to really help people be healthy spiritually, physically, emotionally. It's something I'm so passionate about. I am just distraught so much of the time at the state that our world is in, and I can't not help people and share what I've learned, and I want to continue to learn and share. So anyways, what do I want to do? Also on this, I know I've gotten asked when I will be finished and kind of what that will look like. So I'll finish my school in June, and the plan, I mean, like my plan, it totally might not work out this way, but my plan is that I continue to heal, you know, leading up until June, and I'll make lots of progress. And then in June, I'll launch my business online and I'll start taking one-on-one clients. Now, if I don't make significant progress by then, I still would like to take, I mean, even a couple or a few clients. That's what's really great about what I'll be able to do, is that I can really scale it up or scale it down. And I also just want to continue to use my knowledge and what I've learned to share on YouTube. Some of you really liked my video that I did on fats recently, where I kind of broke down some of the science more, and I kind of took you around the grocery store to share some interesting things, and that was a very exhausting video for me to put together, but as I get healthy, I'd like to do more of that kind of thing too. I have lots of goals and dreams for what I want to do with it. I definitely will start with taking clients online or in person, depending on where they're at, and I also really want to do like group coaching with people. I'd love to have a course where people can learn about eating a whole foods, nutrient dense, properly prepared diet that can be really therapeutic and healing to the body. I'd love to do something like that, but make it really personal with people. For example, I could do, here's the content that you work through, but we do live calls together, and for me it's also ministry, so yeah, it could be like, okay, here's the nutrition side of it, and here's where we do spiritual teaching, Bible study, I don't know, together. So I have lots of ideas and things, and lots of things that I can do, but yeah, that's kind of some of my thoughts. The main thing I know for sure is that I just want to work with people, and I'm already doing that a little bit with practice clients right now, so it's been really cool. I may have to take a break in a minute. I'm already starting to feel a little out of it, a little on the struggle bus. I'm not gonna share my symptoms with you too much. Okay, and just kind of going along the health topic, health questions. I get asked a lot about my functional medicine practitioner, who I see, he's not actually like a medical doctor, but I think he's a nurse practitioner, but he's done all kinds of functional medicine training. So I've been trying to call him functional medicine practitioner more just to not confuse anyone, but people ask me who I see. I don't mind sharing, and I have shared a ton. Part of the issue with me sharing though is it's an amazing place, and it has been booking up a ton, and I know I've talked to a lot of you who have started going now, and it makes it harder for me to get appointments to get in. It's okay, I'm just glad people are getting help. But I see Rob Wilson at Thrive Medical in the Oklahoma City area. I'll leave his information below, but people also ask just how do you find a functional medicine practitioner or doctor? And there's actually a really great website where you can just type in your location, and it's like a referral site where people who are approved, maybe trained, I don't know, by the Institute of Functional Medicine, they'll list them on there. So I will leave that link below too, because I have it saved just to respond to people in my DMs, because I get asked about it so often. Okay, I'm gonna take like a 5-second break. This is kind of a little touchy question, but it's a good one though, and it's very relevant. When you went public about your health issues, did people try to sell you cures, and how did that make you feel? I think this happens to everyone that goes somewhat public with their health issues. I'm pretty certain it does. And I mean, it's interesting when people first start coming to you and saying, oh my gosh, you have to try this organic dried feather juice that I sell. You know, that's just an example. Like, oh, you're dealing with health issues, you have to try this. It's helped so many people. I think sometimes there can be a little bit of that feeling of, are you trying to take advantage of me because I have all of these health issues? But really, from my experience, whenever people share, I really do think that they have good intentions. They just haven't taken the time to seek understanding before seeking to be understood. And this happens all the time, and you'll have to watch my older video on what not to say to people with chronic illness, because I kind of lay out a lot of these things. But I've had people say things to me like, you should go check and see if you're low in vitamin D. And it's just like, do you not think I ever had basic blood work done? I've done a whole lot more than that. I just have to have grace for people, because I know I did not understand a lot about chronic illness before I got sick at all. I remember people telling me they had fibromyalgia, and I was like, I don't understand what that is, and I didn't really know how to respond to it. But it is tough when people are trying to sell you something. A lot of people selling something can fall under network marketing, and some people do it really well and some people do it not as well, just like anything in life. And when it comes to that too, I mean, I like to believe that people usually truly believe that the product can help you, but there's been many times where I've just tried to educate people on why that's not the best next step for me. And yeah, I don't want to be too harsh with that one, because every situation is really different. What is your biggest piece of advice for someone newly diagnosed with fibromyalgia / chronic fatigue syndrome? So I really would love to do a whole video on this, just giving my thoughts to those specifically who have chronic illness. First of all, I would just say to you, I'm so sorry, because I know you've gone through a lot to get to this place. I'm sure you've been dealing with things for a while, and now I know there's a lot of emotions from finally getting a diagnosis. So a couple things I would say to you: there is so much hope, there's so much healing possible out there for you. And what I want you to know about CFS, fibro, those are really just titles for the symptoms that you're dealing with. They diagnose that really based off of exclusion, meaning you don't have anything else from what we diagnose. So here's this label, and what I really encourage you to do is to work with someone that will help you get to the root cause. I went to the Mayo Clinic, the best of allopathic medicine. We didn't do any kind of root cause testing there. We did all kinds of random testing and scans and things, but none of it was looking for the root. So the root can be a lot of different things. A couple things just off the top of my head I would encourage you to look into is autoimmune disease / leaky gut, dysbiosis. Look into gut health. Also look into Lyme, different co-infections of Lyme, viruses, mold, like chronic inflammatory response syndrome that falls under mold. I would look into toxicity, like what I'm dealing with. Look into heavy metal toxicity and chemical toxicity, which is what's going on here. There might be more that I can't think of, but over and over and over again, I see chronic illness going back to a lot of those things, and they manifest in a lot of the same ways, kind of as the same symptoms. So look into that. I would also say research. Just know it's gonna be work to get healing, and I know everyone knows that, but it is gonna take work and discipline, and I just encourage you to remember your why and what you're fighting for on days where it might not feel like eating the whole foods and you want to eat the processed junk that's not going to support your mitochondria or your brain. Obviously, I know you want to be better, but on those hard days, you have to remember your why, and that's going to keep you fighting for your health. Be your own advocate. I am praying for you. I'm praying for all of you watching who are dealing with those things. And I know many of you are dealing with other issues, like specifically mental health issues, depression, anxiety, relationship issues with your boyfriend or girlfriend, or divorce, or some kind of hidden struggle that you are afraid to share. This is kind of a side tangent, but just know that I'm praying for you. I really make an effort to pray for those of you who are watching my videos. There isn't a question here about this, but in case you haven't figured it out yet, I love Jesus. I am a devoted follower of him. You're welcome here no matter what you believe, but I'm very bold in my faith and unapologetic about what I believe, and yeah. So I think the questions that I got the most are questions about marriage, and a lot of questions about dealing with chronic illness and marriage. And I really need to do another video with James, like way earlier in the year. I asked for questions to do Q&A with him, and I haven't done that yet. A lot of people are wanting to know how chronic illness has affected our marriage, and I think this is a really interesting question, and sometimes I struggle knowing how to answer it. But here's the thing. Whenever you go through anything difficult at all, you will never stay the same. I believe that's true in your relationship with God. When you go through a struggle, you're either gonna grow closer to God or grow further away from God. You're never just gonna stay neutral. Same thing in a relationship or a marriage. When you go through something hard together, this just hasn't been me going through this. James has been a part of this with me, and I see so often that those hard times can lead people to grow apart, and other times it can lead them to grow together. I'm really, really thankful that I just feel like James and we've just gotten stronger in our marriage, and we've gotten closer because of everything that we've been through together. Also, when people ask this, they ask like what it changes. And obviously my life is, I don't want to use the word limited too much, but it is limited in a lot of ways. So it is changed. It's different from the norm and what I would like it to be. I don't know if that changes our marriage that much though, thankfully, especially in the things that we do in order to have a healthy marriage. Seeking God, fighting fair, staying pure, having fun, never giving up. Those are 5 principles that James and I have really studied. It's something that my parents have taught and passed on to us, and those things, they don't change. Serving each other and loving each other unconditionally doesn't change. And James is such a servant and so loving and helpful to me and caring to me, and even though he has a lot less difficult days than I do, I still try to serve him well too, and it might not always be in the ways that I would want to serve him. You know, in my mind, I'm like, let me have the house so clean and perfect and all the laundry put away and all this food ready, and be like, oh, I'm serving you in this way. Obviously, you can serve in other ways, but that's one area that I can struggle. I mean, I've never been able to do all of those things in a day before, you know, not since we've been married. So I'd like to talk more about this with James, because I think he'd have more things to say. And also, I don't just want to focus on chronic illness, because people are just asking for marriage advice and relationship advice, and the way that James and I dated was pretty different compared to the way a lot of people date nowadays. And I know we both have different thoughts and perspective to add. I think we talk a lot about it on other Q&As and on our love story video that we did. Okay, another like relationship related one, how to recognize that the one God is giving you as your spouse. And other people ask, how did you know that James was the one? So I think that's the same question there. This is a fun one for me to answer. We may have talked about this before, but it's fine. So James decided he wanted to marry me the moment he laid eyes on me, the day that we met. And I did not have a good first impression of him and didn't have a great view of him for around 6 months to a year. Yeah, it took me a while. Anyways, you'll have to watch your love story if you want to know how all that went down, but it took me a long time to admit to myself that I liked James. Then we actually started dating, and I was so conflicted and so confused and so afraid really of messing up, because I didn't want to be even dating someone if it wasn't leading towards marriage. And I definitely, I didn't want to lead someone on. It's like things are getting serious, and it's like I need to know if you're the one that God has for me. And there was a period when we were dating where I was fasting and praying, and the main focus was, is James the person, the one that I'm supposed to marry? And I was really honest with James about this at the time, which he was really great in how he took all of that. Me being like, I'm not sure if I want to be with you forever yet. During the fast, I was like, Lord, I'm more confused. Right after the fast, I just felt in my spirit the Lord was helping me understand that as long as I'm seeking Jesus and he's at the center, I get to choose, and I get to decide. This may sound crazy to some of you, but this is really where I was. I get to decide if I want to be with him or not. And just right then and there, it was like, I can't imagine life without him. And it was like, yes, I do want to be with him. And yeah, and then I knew after that. So it's different for every single person, and it's tough. People try to explain like, oh, this is how you know they're the one. And I would just say, seek God, make sure that you and that person, that you have the same values. I think that's a really big deal. I had a list of 5 non-negotiables, different things that I knew were very important, were absolutely necessary for the person I'm gonna marry. And James met and exceeded all 5 of those things. And then I just got to decide, and it was like, yeah. And then I'm like, thanks Jesus for leading me here. Someone asked me what the meaning behind my giving key is. I wear this all the time, so I do get questions on it sometimes. Okay, so it says hope. So this is a giving key. That's like what the brand is called, and basically they have different key necklaces that have one word on it that when you receive the key, it's a word that you want to like work on embracing, something to really hold on to. It's a cool company. I know they do a lot of things to help get people out of homelessness, so I like supporting the company in that regard. The key is something that I asked for my birthday just a little bit over a year ago. Just in the last 2.5 years of my life, hope has just been a really consistent theme. My middle name is actually Hope too. I don't know why I'm kind of getting emotional talking about hope. I mean, I guess I know why. But I just wanted something to wear and carry with me to remind myself to hold on to hope. For me, I have hope that I'm gonna be healed and I'm gonna be better than symptom free. I'm gonna have freedom in my health, and I'm gonna help other people be healthy and well and all that God's called and created them to be. That's my hope key. Someone asked me if I cut out nightshade vegetables. I did for a while to see if it would help with inflammation, and for me it really didn't seem to, so I'm not very strict about nightshades right now. Favorite song? Ooh, I really love the song You Are, written by Life Church Worship. My top song that I played for 2018 is the Atlas 2 song. Sleeping at Last is by far one of my favorite artists, and I've been listening to him since I was like 14, 15, and he did a song for Enneagram. He's doing all the Enneagram types, And my song for like type 2, that personality, gold. Man, I've got so many favorite songs. Like the song You're Beautiful by Phil Wickham and The Secret Place by Phil Wickham are like way up there. How He Loves, any version of that, is way up there. Sinking Deep by Young and Free is way up there. I have a lot of favorite songs. What book are you reading right now? I'm excited to answer this question because people ask me all the time, what's a good book to read about eating healthy and nutrition? And it's tough because I've read so many different books and a lot of them have different approaches when it comes to food, and I didn't really know of one book that'd be a really great place to start. And the one that I'm reading right now, I actually chose to start reading because I wanted to know if I could recommend it or if I should recommend it, and I want to. Right now I'm reading a book by Dr. Mark Hyman. It's called Food, What the Heck Should I Eat? Basically, it's just about how food is confusing and we hear all these different things, but it doesn't have to be confusing. And he breaks down all the different like categories of food and things you definitely want to avoid, things that you should definitely consume, and things that are kind of in the middle, and breaks down some of the science and history of some of that in a really easy to understand way. So that's really the only book I'm reading right now. I think I should read the book Hope in the Dark after I started talking about my hope key. For those of you who don't know, my dad wrote it and I know he talks about my story quite a bit in it, and I'm kind of terrified to read it because I know it'll be emotional for me. And yes. Okay, I'm getting this like reflection from the blinds now, so I think that means that this needs to be my last question. Also because I need a rest, and I'm guessing this video is way longer than I'm expecting it to be. There's a lot of other questions that I would love to answer, so maybe I will do a second part to this. Yeah, this is the last question I want to answer. How do you wrestle with trusting God, knowing He can and wants to heal, but you're not fully healed yet? It's not easy. And I mean, I've had some very real frustration with some things in the last couple weeks. I've been digging up more emotions that I haven't really been able to deal with well, and it is a very challenging and frustrating thing. For me, I have always just had the mindset from the beginning that God has a purpose in pain. And even though I really disliked everything that went down and everything I had to go through, and the trauma that had to occur whenever I left my job and what felt like my calling and what I love to do, and really was my calling for that season. It's incredibly frustrating, but I've always known that God has a purpose in it. And for a while, I just wanted to sit back and kind of quietly deal with it. But when I had to stop working, I knew things had to change, and I needed to start embracing it and let God use it and see where things go. The last 2 years have been so difficult, and so many days I just was like, why am I not finding the answers? Why am I not starting to get better? But there's so much for me that I needed to go through and experience in order to learn the things that I believe that God wanted me to learn. There's still this wrestling and this fight to trust God that is hard. I know it's so difficult to understand, but I'm grateful that I have the perspective, and even now I can truly say that I'm thankful for what I've gone through. I'm thankful for where it's led me, and I wish I was healed today, but the fact that I'm not just tells me that there's something else that God wants to do. While I say that, I also want to make sure that I say that I also believe that God really wants us to fight for our health and to do what we can do. He's given us resources and the discipline to be able to make changes that can make a difference. But some things just take time. What's way more important than what I want is God's timing. I knew that God wanted to do something beautiful through pain, and I know that things don't always go the way that we want to, but I just want God to have his way, because his ways are higher and better, so much more than anything that I could ever plan. So it's a continual thing that I just have to keep placing my trust in God, knowing he's in control. And when life seems so chaotic, when it just feels like I am sinking, his love always provides what I need. It's not always what I want or what I think that I need. At the same time, it's more than enough. Okay, I'm just gonna leave things right there for now. I want to thank you for watching. I hope that you thought this was interesting or you got something from it. Let me know down below if you'd like to see another Q&A. Give this video a thumbs up. It really supports my channel. Subscribe if you want to see more. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!